Hey, I'm a ween.
Hey, you're a ween.
And you're watching a Screen. Greatest theme song of all time.
Now let's go to our old school segue where I go.
And then we sing the song about suicide.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't hurt. What does he say?
Suicide is painless.
Suicide. It brings on many changes.
Through early morning fog I see visions of the things to be, things that are withheld from me. I realize and I
we gotta do TikTok dances to that song for Screen Weens.
Yeah, just suicide is painless.
Suicide is painless.
Yeah.
Oh, we can make them a dance.
Oh, god damn it.
And then our shirts change when it says change.
Yeah.
See, we got this.
Right.
We need to make up TikTok sounds and dances.
Yeah, I don't think so.
We're young and hip. You're younger. We've established this. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Screen Weens. I'm so sorry Thomas yelled really loud. I'll probably just minimize the sound there.
Sorry. I had to bring it back because I was listening to some of our older episodes not too long ago.
Truly wonderful.
And we used to do that a lot. So I figured I'd throw it back.
Well, we used to be young.
It's true.
The first time we made a video, we were like, what, 23? Probably?
Like 21, 22, probably.
Jesus.
Because
that's a kid.
Infinity War came
babies.
out.
Oh, yeah, that was...
It was the day that
was 2018.
It was technically before Infinity War came out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we recorded it, and then I put it out the day it came out. I think.
Yeah. But
yeah, we were babies.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
21, yeah.
Oh,
they'd only been here for like probably 8 months or something.
Yeah.
And now we're old.
Yeah, I know.
And we look it, Jesus.
I know.
What the fuck? I look like that? I gotta get a ring light. This shadow's not doing great. I'll just do this. Hey, no, that's worse. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I have no idea what the shadow
is. Oh, you look beautiful. Oh. You look great. The lights actually, you look like a divine being.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. Well, you look like a very divine Sadako right now. Sadako is the one from The Rain, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the name of
Kayako?
Kayako.
Fuck Kayako. All my homies hate Kayako.
Yeah, I'm not... I mean, Kayako's okay, I guess. I don't know. I haven't watched any of the Grudge movies in a very long time.
I think they're all bad. Or almost all bad. Or at the very least, okay.
Yeah. I mean... From what I recall of them, on the surface level, they're at least, like, atmospherically and, like...
Yeah, I think 1 and 2 are, like, okay.
Yeah. Catboy? That's pretty iconic. Yeah. True.
I should play him.
You should.
He's all grown up. And now white.
Yes.
Anyway, today... We have returned once again, and we're going to be talking about Robert Altman and 7 of his movies. MASH, Images, Long Goodbye, Nashville. What was after Nashville?
3 Women?
3 Women. No. Yeah, 3 Women, Popeye, the Player.
Yep.
Yeah, I really dipped my toe into this with Popeye, which is definitely... completely different from his other movies.
Yeah, I think because I watched Popeye not quite. I didn't go quite chronological order, but I went pretty close. Mm-hmm. I think I jumped ahead to Popeye and saved Nashville for my penultimate movie.
Yeah, I think I jumped all around. I started with Popeye, then I went to The Player.
Yeah.
Which I think are the 2 that are most far removed from his, like, general vibe. I think The Player has a lot of the same, like, ideas, but, like, definitely, like, the way he films it is much different. But that makes sense because it's 15 years removed from the closest other thing.
Yeah. That 70s, like, documentary type, like...
dream state. I'm really excited to talk about Altman because his vibe is like almost completely unique for me. I really feel like, even the movies I wasn't, like, exceptionally fond of, I was like, this feels so different than other movies that I've watched.
Yeah. No, he's definitely got his own style, which is certainly saying something considering that, like, all the films we watched, I don't think there's, like, two in the bunch that are much alike. Aside from maybe, like, The Player in Nashville in certain aspects.
Well, actually, I think, and I was reading about this, Images and Three Women, they're part of, like, a trilogy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, it was like a retroactive trilogy, like one of those, like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, man, I wish we watched the first one. And then, but,
yeah. Yeah, we were just shooting from the hip.
But I think we got a good variety in here.
Yeah, we definitely did. I'm glad we got a lot of this stuff. Maybe if we had to throw one more in there, if not that, maybe like if he does some documentary stuff, because I know he used to.
Yeah.
But
I kind of wish and this is like, I'll just watch this myself, but like Brewster McCloud or some of his westerns, it seemed like he made a decent chunk, like 5 or something.
Yeah, because I knew when we were talking about what to do next time, I remember mentioning I thought he did an acclaimed western, and I thought it was Heaven's Gate, but
no, but yeah, it's
yeah.
And then I always like to, because we got MASH, which is pretty early. I kind of wish we had watched Prairie Home Companion, which is the movie that it was his last movie. He died like a month after it came out or something like that. Oh. Paul Thomas Anderson was the backup director on it, because they, like, for insurance purposes, they needed a backup director in case he died while filming it.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize this, and maybe I had forgotten, but I think There Will Be Blood is dedicated to Robert Altman.
Oh, really?
Apparently, Robert Altman was, like, pretty influential. And I can see it.
Yeah.
I don't think they have the same, like, dreamlike quality, but I think there's a certain, like, gritty pathos that is kind of accompanying both.
Yeah.
And they have different...
You can definitely feel the inspiration in a lot, like, I think the big one that I noticed most obviously throughout this was, we good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Was like Nashville kind of felt like a 70s non-pornographic boogie nights, only in the country music scene. And
hold on. Okay, it might have cut out for 5 milliseconds, but you're good.
Okay. But, and obviously he employs like, I feel like he employs the mumbling kind of like bunch of characters talking over each other at once type of stuff, but I feel like he uses that tool differently when he does it.
Yeah.
At least off the top of my head. I didn't watch hot off the press of Altman to compare and contrast, but yeah, because I'm sure there's probably, like, if I were to rewatch There Will Be Blood right now, I'm sure I'd probably, like, notice, like, oh, there's some Altmanisms in there. And I know he does like them. I know in Punch Drunk Love, they use Shelley Duvall's song from Popeye in that movie.
Large? That one?
No.
Large?
He Needs Me. He Needs Me.
He's large?
Yeah. We'll get to the Popeye music. Don't worry about it. But let's wait till we get to Popeye before we really get into how mean
I'll
it can be.
say, I only disliked one of these movies, and it wasn't Popeye.
I don't. Okay, no. There's one movie. I don't know if I'd go entirely into the realm of saying I disliked it. But there is one movie here that's problematic by today's standards, for sure. In a lot of regards. But
yeah, I think we're thinking of the same.
probably.
Mostly I don't know. I just didn't.
It
was boring.
It's a weird blend that movie is going for. Yeah. So we might as well jump right into it with
MASH.
But
first I'm going to check the recording to make sure it didn't explode. Be right back.
I'm Popeye the Sailor Man.
Oh, gosh.
See what I did there?
Yeah, I don't know if they did because I started singing over.
They heard. No.
But
Welcome back. Sorry, I realized that the microphone was still set up for the Reed Weens, so it wasn't hitting as much for my voice, so I might have sounded a little bit away from the mic. It should be fixed now.
okay, sweet.
And it's fine. I felt like maybe that was an artistic choice before, because being more far away from where the microphone's picking up, it added a almost dreamlike quality to the sound.
It did, and it
Like
also
I was
added,
floating.
like kind of like an avant-garde, surreal kind of like dreamlike scene, but then it gets into the nightmare when I screamed really loud at that one point.
There's actually never been a mistake in Screen Weens history.
No, not a one.
Those are all artistic choices. Like when the mic just didn't work during the Giant Robo episode, so if you listen to that, it sounds like fucking garbage.
Really?
It just recorded from like this mic. I don't know if you remember when that happened. I talked about it. I was really annoyed.
I don't remember that.
That's one we should just go back and re-record. We'll just redo that one. We'll do a redux somehow.
Redux. Yeah.
There's another episode that is deleted.
We could probably
do that one. Yeah.
But yeah.
There's a lot of the first like 50 are a little rough.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I rewatch this one later on, I might be like, this is kind of a little rough too.
No. Honestly, when I was listening to our podcast earlier this week, those earlier episodes, I was like, wow, London's really elegant, really like putting his words out there, and then I'm just there like, yeah.
It's okay. I do the same thing for me. Like, no matter how, I'll be like, oh, I got that statement out. And then the rest of the episode, I'm just fumbling over my words. So, I don't know if it's true. It might just be us. Or we might be the worst podcasters. Not true. There are so many bad podcasts, actually.
Yeah, I think the main
gotta be in the top
that
half.
Makes us maybe a little saggier than others is the fact that we just don't edit out all the parts where we're like,
I don't want to break apart the visuals so you can look at my beautiful fucking face hidden by these shadows, which is, again, an artistic choice.
True. We'll get some nice Christmas lights or something.
Yeah. Well, you should probably just have like a ring light here.
Probably.
Also, we got to replace this camera because it's falling apart.
Yeah, we'll.
And we gotta call up Santa Claus. Speaking of Santa Claus, before we get too far into MASH, I watched Red 1. That's the new Christmas movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Chris Evans, where Santa Claus goes missing. Santa Claus is played by J.K. Simmons, and they have to go save him. Dog shit.
Didn't J.K. Simmons play Santa Claus in something else?
I don't know. Whiplash?
Oh. Who played Santa Claus in that one 3D, 2D Netflix movie we watched?
Oh, is he the voice in Klaus?
I think he might be.
Or Claus? Claus. It might just be Claus.
Yeah. Is Letterbox back?
Oh, thank God it is. Yeah, I think he does. Yeah, he does.
Okay.
He's played Santa twice. You know, make that bag. He's much better in that one.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That movie's much better.
Yeah, this is a pretty good one.
Anyway, we're talking about MASH, which is a 1970 historical World War II kind of comedy, like black comedy.
Korean War.
Korean War. What did I say? World War II?
Yes.
Silly me. That spawned a show that went on for like 7 or 8 seasons.
Yeah.
I was talking to my friend Eric, who is a fan of this movie, and he was talking about how the show, his son wrote the theme song that was, I think, in the show, and then also I think it's the song in this, and how he made just boatloads more money than Robert Altman ever did for directing this, because it played so often. And I also was reading about how Robert Altman hated the show. He's he thought the show was racist, and I was like, Robert Altman, did you see the movie you made?
Yeah, to be entirely fair, I don't know if that stuff was necessarily him, because he didn't like necessarily write his movies.
Yeah.
He kind of just used like whatever scripts the studios gave him as a jumping off point.
Mm-hmm.
So that might have just been something that was in the script. I don't know. But yeah, there's some stuff in MASH. Let's just get it out of the way.
It's wants to be really mean. Like, it's a mean movie.
Yeah.
Roger Ebert's review is like, it's funny because it's cruel. And, like, I understand where it's coming from. Like, there are plenty of things that are cruel as a bit. Like, It's Always Sunny is a very mean-spirited show. And I understand where it's coming from. And it's got a lot of, like, sexism and racism and homophobia. And it's all played as, like, a bit. I just don't think the bit's very funny. And I don't think it really has a lot to say. Even looking at, like, the context of things coming out at this time, I don't get, like, it's not really saying that much more than a lot of other, like, 60s and 70s movies were.
No, yeah, I don't think so either. I think... I mean, I haven't watched the MASH TV show in a long time. Maybe it is more racist. I don't remember a whole lot about it. I know it's got, like, a, like, regarded, like, somewhat based, like, gay episode due to, like, politics that were going on at the time. But even then, I don't think it took, like, a solid... I think it kind of... I don't know. I think it took a principled stance as opposed to, like, necessarily... hey, I like this sort of thing stance, you know, for, like, how that kind of stuff used to go. But,
I just think about, and I know this is a completely different, like, type of movie, and it's from across the world, but I think about, I'm like, yeah, I'm looking at progressive movies in that era, I'm like, Funeral Parade of Roses came out a year beforehand. I know that was in Japan, I know that, like, it was, but I'm like, that's a progressive movie. That's a good movie. No, and I'm just like, MASH, I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah. Which is weird because I think Altman movies in general have so much to say. At least the ones we watched, especially Popeye.
Well, I know this movie famously went through like 16 directors before Altman just stuck around. And I know that there was constant feuding on set. Apparently,
Donald Sutherland?
Donald Sutherland and
Elliot Gould?
Elliot Gould? Yeah, I almost called him fucking Ellie Goulding. I'm like, wait, no. That's the...
Did they hate each other or something?
Apparently, like, during the filming of MASH, like, those two were, like, trying to get Altman fired.
Oh.
And then apparently, Gould eventually, like, kind of came around.
Yeah, I'm like, what happened? Like,
apologized to Altman.
I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's in The Long Goodbye.
Yeah, he was in a handful of the stuff we watched. He even made
a brief cameo in Nashville as himself, and the player as himself.
Yep. And he's I was looking through. He does other stuff with Altman too.
Oh, okay.
But, so. But yeah, the plot of MASH, it's Korean War. It's kind of like almost vignettes.
It actually feels like 4 episodes of a TV show almost.
Yeah, it's just these guys get drafted into the war, and it's just kind of shenanigans that happen. Yeah. It's like a military dark sex comedy where half the time it's like you're watching like Animal House, like a diet Animal House, and then like the other parts of the time you're like watching like them cutting up and military gore and doing hospital work. And there is stuff I like in the movie, and it's got like sometimes it's just you're kind of vibing with it, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of how mean-spirited it is.
And it's just like
like what they do to Houlihan, like
a Hot Lips Houlihan,
like maybe I could see like the fucking like screening of the mic of her having sex with the one guy being like, all right, there's some humor, situational comedy.
But then it's
and
just sexual harassment.
But then
after. It's like, oh,
then you get to the shower scene where they just fucking pull it down, and she's like on the floor just trying to like cover herself, and like I don't like there's no punchline to that. That's just a bunch of people being fucking like mean.
Yeah, and it's just like it just feels so at odds with the other like pranks in the movie, like when they blackmail the sergeant later on or whatever because they wanted to save a kid or something. So they like drug him, and oh no, they took pictures of him with a hot woman. Oh, well, it's like, oh look, we're gonna laugh at this naked woman. It's like, cool. It just feels really intensely mean towards women, like more so than the other things, and it doesn't really feel like it's saying anything about that.
Yeah, and it takes that obvious swing at gay people as well, with the suicide is painless stuff, but which it's such a weird scene because that scene in particular is like probably like the most visual, like fucking like just like. They do, like, the Last Supper.
Yeah, I think there's some interesting shots, and I'm like, hey, this scene's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's just set up as dog shit.
Yeah, but it's all, like, for a shit gag that's not funny.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm gay. I guess I gotta kill myself. And they're like, we're
my wife, I'm gonna kill myself.
And it's like, maybe the premise of a guy who's, like, half-heartedly like, I gotta kill myself, and everyone around him being like, yeah, sure, and then kind of like that situation I could maybe see being funny if retooled and worked in a dark comedy kind of way, but it just, I don't know, it didn't land.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, I found this so boring. Maybe it's because it's one of the last ones I watched, and it was like I was riding high off of things like Nashville and The Long Goodbye, and then I watched this and I'm just like, the fuck?
Yeah. Thankfully, I started with this.
Yeah, I think maybe I would have liked it more if I started with it, but I just didn't connect. And I had already had friends that didn't like this, so maybe I was going into it being like, yeah, I'm not gonna like this, but I don't think so. I try not to do that with movies as much as possible. But yeah, it really didn't connect. I think that there are some small things that you're like, oh, Altman's doing this, he's gonna do this later on in like his other films. But even then, it feels really removed from something like Images or Three Women or Nashville.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
It's like sometimes there have been some other Altman movies that like I was watching and I'm like, this is good. And then something clicks at the end. Kind of like, do you remember when we watched Peppermint Candy by,
Yeah.
What is that guy's name? Lee Chang-dong?
Yeah.
That one, like, really clicked at the end. There were a couple Altman movies like this. And then I'm like, maybe MASH will connect at the end. And I'm like, no, they just play a stupid-ass game of football, and then I'm pissed off.
Yeah, that is a weird...
You should go watch The Freshman starring Harold Lloyd if you want to watch a good football movie.
True. But yeah, it's funny that you bring that up, because I also had a similar experience, because like... Watching Altman movies, like, especially when I was watching the first couple, it's so weird, and it's such, like, almost kind of an acquired taste, because I watched MASH, and then I watched Images, and I'll get more into Images when we get to it, but, like, it was, like, then it's, like, kind of watching them, it's, like, 75% of the movie, I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, and then, like, the end will happen, I'll be like, that was fucking fantastic. What?
And maybe I was also had the wrong idea that I'm like, maybe MASH will hit sometime. And it just never did. I was waiting for something to come and it never did. So maybe that's my fault. But
yeah,
I think I was just like, I liked all these movies. Surely something will click at some point. And it just never does.
By the time I got to The Long Goodbye, I was sailing. It was just like, oh, okay, here we go. But yeah.
MASH really didn't do anything for me. There were a couple scenes that I'm like, hey, this is pretty good. And then it goes back to being just, I kind of hated it.
I really like the one part where they're like, I like when they like barge into the one hospital because they're like, we're going to go to Japan and golf and stuff. I thought all of that was kind of funny. And I liked when it's like, they're just barging in and doing the surgery, and someone's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm Dr. Jekyll, and this
I'm
is
Mr. Hyde." I do think, which is annoying, because I think the rapport between Sutherland and Gould is good.
Yeah.
And I think they're good actors.
They do. There's another movie that they do that's a similar comedy, and when marketing the movie, they did, it's like Spies, but it's got the same dashes. Altman's not involved. It has nothing to do with MASH, aside from the fact that the two of them star alongside each other again. Mm-hmm. So if you really like...
Is that any good?
I don't know. Probably not, but maybe. I just know it exists. But yeah, so if you like their report, maybe that one would be better. I don't know. But Sutherland never went on to work with Altman again. I guess he never apologized. Or never felt like he needed to or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what their beef was specifically. I'm sure it was probably petty.
Probably. I mean, they were kind of all kind of young in this, so...
Yeah.
Even Altman, wasn't... In the grand scheme of things, because he lived to be 1,000 years old.
True. Because he was pretty old in the 70s. Or he might just be one of those people that looked old from a younger
Robert
age.
Altman, how old were you?
Because he was born in 1920?
25, yeah. So he was... I guess he was 45 when this came out.
Yeah.
But, if he was still working when he was 81...
Yeah, because he died in 2006?
2006, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. But, yeah.
Yeah, just doesn't. Maybe if I loved America or so, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because, I don't know, because it does feel like it is pretty anti-war, or at least anti a lot of bureaucracy in the military. Because I know he served in the military for quite a while.
I know the TV show served as more of a platform for, critiquing the Vietnam War. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, yeah. But I know people say the movie did. Maybe I'm just not, 10 layers deep in Vietnam knowledge, but,
And yeah, it's just, I got nothing.
Make a whole lot of correlations aside from general, I guess, themes of war. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like if I wanted something kind of akin to this, I would probably just read Catch-22 or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just got nothing from this, unfortunately.
Yeah. Because at least that one, it's the guy wants to get out, and it's they keep here's your deadline, we're going to keep extending it, and it's so it has more of an anti-military kind of stance to it. Whereas this one, I mean, it does, but I don't know, it's so sleepily. It's oh yeah, we're in the military.
Yeah.
Don't really want to be here. We're just going to fuck around. Which, yeah, but I don't know.
But none of the things they do are fun to me. That's the other thing. I was they're just kind of being boring.
Yeah, I think the most fun scene was when they were torturing that one, receptionist in Japan, where he's and then... But even then, they're just torturing a woman for no reason. It was just that time it actually managed to somewhat be kind of funny from a physical comedy stance.
Yeah.
And injected a smidge of energy. But yeah, no, neither of us were super hot on MASH.
I'd give this a 3.
I'd probably give it a 5 just because the Altmanisms, and there was bits of it that I did enjoy. But yeah,
maybe I'll try this again in a couple of years, and maybe it'll work, or at least work better. I'll just make sure I don't watch any other of his movies first to be well, I wish it was that.
Maybe. I don't know if that would make it better.
Maybe I'll go join the military, or maybe I gotta go get drafted real quick. And then I gotta, do a bunch of...
Just wait. It might happen.
I'll fucking kill myself. Anyway.
Oh, did you...
What?
Not gonna dive into it, but did you see the news today?
Oh, God. No, what is the news today?
Biden approved, U.S. long-range missiles being able to be launched.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and continues to funnel money into Israel. We pay for 70% of their shit.
Yeah,
it's insane.
No, it's...
Yeah, this year's been fucking dreadful for humanity. I keep thinking... You haven't seen Winter Light yet, have you? The Bergman movie?
No,
I keep thinking about... There's a scene where he's pretty much losing his faith. He's a priest, and he's trying to provide counsel to people, but he's losing his faith, so it's really hard for him. And Max von Sydow shows up. And he's like, I'm reading in the news of all these things, atrocities like happening around the world, and we're not doing anything about it. And he can't really provide him counsel because he's losing his mind kind of too. And then Max von Sydow just fucking kills himself later on in the movie. Because he just cannot believe the state of the world. And it's like, I get it. I get it. I'm not going to. Because, maybe I can make a change. Even if it's one person, even if it's changing their mind,
Yeah,
But
that, and I mean, there's always the hope that just it feels a lot worse than it might actually pan out to be. But
yeah, it's been a rough year, and I think there's a movie in here that the ending hit me, and it hit me because of that, and everything,
especially because it fucking mirrors something that happened this year. Yeah. Pretty closely.
Yeah, I think we're talking that movie.
Yeah,
is my favorite of the bunch. But we'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to.
We're talking about Images now.
Yes,
which is one that. But Thomas, before the podcast starts, he's like, "I'm too stupid for this movie."
Maybe it might have just gone over my head. I remember watching it, and there were things about it that I liked. I thought it had a great atmosphere, and I was intrigued throughout the movie, but maybe it, like, the twist went over my head or something, like...
So, Images.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
A woman.
Yes.
Who is having... she gets a call one night, and she gets a call from someone who's like, hey, your husband's cheating on you. He hates you, kind of thing. And she's like, what? And he gets home, she's like, were you with someone? He's like, I would never be. But she starts seeing they're like kissing, and suddenly she sees a different man in his place, and she starts screaming. And she just starts seeing these images of other people, of past relationships, stuff like that, of almost ghosts of things. They go out to the countryside where she lived earlier in her life with her, like, grandma or something, or grandpa or something like that. And one of the early shots is she's on the top of a cliff that overhangs that house, and she sees herself down there. The whole movie is she's, like, just seeing images of things that are happening or yet to happen or have happened. But we find out the first man we saw earlier that was not her husband is kind of her ex-lover that she had cheated on her husband with, a French man named Rene. And he's kind of haunting her. Meanwhile, in town, there's also another man who's another one of her ex-lovers that she also cheated on her husband with, Marcel, who has a daughter who looks strikingly similar to the way that she looked as a child, which we see through pictures and images. And the whole movie is just constantly her trying to pretty much kill these ghosts of people. She kills the ghost of Rene by shooting him and accidentally destroying the camera that's behind him as well. But he doesn't return after doing this. So she's killing these metaphorical ghosts. And Marcel is interesting because there's the ghost of Marcel that shows up, the ghost of this relationship she had, these mistakes that she made. And then there's also the physical Marcel, who is also trying to have sex with her in a very rough way. Which it also seems like she was into when they were in a relationship.
I think that's some of the stuff that started to confuse me towards the end, was because I wasn't picking up on the fact that, like, there were supposed to be, like, two different versions of him. That was, like, one's the ghost and one's, like, the real version of him. I was extremely confused when she murdered him.
Well, there's a part where, as she's driving home right before she kills Marcel, she sees him outside of a bar with a woman. And then she gets home, and I also think that he might have the same clothes on every time when he shows up in his, like, ghost form. I don't know for sure, though. Okay. I can't remember. But then she freaks out the next morning because she talks to... what is the daughter's name? Do you remember? She talks to the daughter, and she's like, my dad's not home. And she's like, fuck, did I kill the real guy?
Yeah.
But she's like, I saw him last night at, like, midnight. She's like, oh, thank God. And the same thing happens. She starts seeing this image of herself that she's kind of seen, and that she figures out is probably the voice that she heard at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And she starts seeing herself as she's driving home, and she's like, this is the last one I have to do. I have to kill the ghost of the woman that did this. I love my husband. I want to be there for my husband. I don't want to do this anymore. So I have to rid myself of this past obsession kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And she hits her off a cliff.
Yeah.
And then she gets back to, like, her apartment. She drives back, and she's like, my husband, where are you? Where are you? And she decides to start taking a shower, and then she sees the ghost of herself again. She realized that she's been bamboozled, and that the person that she killed, the images that she saw were false, and that she had killed her husband, and she had killed the real man who was at the bottom of the cliff.
Okay. That clears up a little more for me. Okay, I feel less now that it's cleared my head, because I was like, the impression I had gotten, I was like, what the fuck? Was that like a purgatory loop or something? Like, what the fuck did I just watch?
I think it's mostly...
Realizing that the ghosts were meant to represent, like, past mistakes. Because I think the thing with the dude having a ghost but still being alive really threw me off.
Yeah, I think
I might have not been paying the closest attention for that part, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that this movie is a lot. Like, just in general, even for me, I was like, whoa.
There is that weird, like, psychic orgy that happens where it's, like, her and she's, like, envisioning sleeping with, like, her
Renee, Marcel, and her husband, Hugh, I think.
Yeah, all at, like, the same time, and it's, like, all, like, fading together, and it's, like...
Yeah, and she's, like, living all those moments at once. I ended up really liking this movie, but this is one of those Altman movies that I think I would like even more on a rewatch.
I feel similarly.
Because this is a puzzle that, like, it didn't necessarily click right at the end. It had to be, like, I had to click it into place. But when I did, I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
It feels like, I think when I was writing my review of it, it feels like the movie, I'm constantly chasing the meaning, but in, like, a fun way. Not in a way that I'm like, I really gotta grasp at straws, but that, like, I can see the rope, and I'm like, ah!
Yeah, no, I had that thought when I was watching this movie, and I was like, if I was just to watch this movie, like, 2 or 3 times in a row, I would probably really like it. But, like, I watched it second, and I was like, I've got 5 more Robert Altman movies to watch in a short amount of time, and also, one of those is Nashville.
So I watched Nashville, The Long Goodbye, and then this in one day.
Yeah.
And I think and then I immediately went and watched Red 1. This is better than that, just as a heads up.
I don't even remember what it was.
It's the Christmas one.
Oh, yeah.
I think that there's something to be said. I think that the type of movie, it really went into images really well. Even though, like, neither of those movies are, like, horror-centric, I think the kind of vibe, the atmosphere, built upon Nashville, built upon Long Goodbye, and then went into this. And I also like you said, in the atmosphere for this movie, I don't know what it was, but something about this movie was genuinely terrifying to my core. It was maybe the way that the main character acted and reacted. Yeah. Maybe it was like this sleepy cabin. Something about it, like, even though I myself wasn't scared, there was like a pit in my stomach.
I'd have to rewatch it. I think there was something going on with the sound design in the movie. I think there was like probably like a static hiss that persisted throughout a lot of the movie, and it would be like it it did the classic horror movie trope of like, kind of, I mean, it's not quiet dialogue, but in comparison to when it gets loud, because that scene when she's like kissing her husband and then like pulls back and sees it's, is it Jacques?
Renee.
Renee, okay.
Not at all like Jacques, actually.
I for some reason, is Odo's actor real life named Renee?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just like, no,
also,
Renee's,
I was watching this whole thing. I'm like, why do I know this guy? And then I'm like, Odo!
Yeah. I'm not there yet, but I saw him. I'm like, I know who that is. I'm not even at Deep Space Nine, but I can't forget that face.
Yeah. He has such a striking face. And also, it really feels like the movie is constantly like lying to you. Because the character's lying to the audience. Like, she's like, oh, I'm scared my husband's cheating on me. When he just genuinely seems like a pretty decent guy.
Yeah, she's projecting onto him.
And it really feels like they're real people to me. Like, he has a lot of interesting ways of moving and talking. I'm like, that's a real guy.
Yeah, he feels like a real guy. I mean, I'm not saying she doesn't feel real, but obviously. She feels very real in the sense that she clearly has like ebbs and flows and is kind of
and it really feels like there's these two personalities in her that are constantly clashing. Like, there's the one that does love her husband and like wants a baby, and then there's the other one who just wants to fucking fuck everyone and like doesn't give a shit about anyone.
And comes out and might have like manic outbursts and scenes here and there, but yeah.
I think I loved this one. And the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, I fucked with this hard.
Yeah, I mean, I like it more now that we're talking about it more. But yeah, I think I just didn't have all the puzzle pieces, and then I had to bury it under 5 other Altman movies. Yeah. So I definitely owe this one another good watch.
Yeah, I think it's one that has layers that I'm probably not picking up on either.
Yeah.
That are expanded on with continuous watches.
Yeah, honestly, I feel that way about like all of Altman's movies, aside from maybe like Popeye.
Yeah.
And MASH.
Large. But yeah, I think Images is really interesting. And for like kind of... I'm not used to a lot of the way that 60s and 70s horror is laid out. Because, you know, I feel like most of my knowledge of horror is 80s and onward, or like pre-40s or something like that. And I feel like there's a big chunk of time that I'm just not familiar with how.
You're missing out.
And I don't know if this is kind of natural for how horror was like kind of done, but something about it just really terrified me.
Tonally, it's pretty... a lot of 70s psychological horror movies kind of have a similar tone. Yeah, but...
Well, I really dug this one.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Quite liked it.
I'd give this one an 8.
I'm going to give it like a 7 for now, but we'll see how I feel on the rewatch.
Literally almost all the ones we're going to be talking about, I think will improve on a rewatch.
Yeah. Most assuredly.
Next one we're talking about is The Long Goodbye.
Yes.
I believe. Yeah. With Elliot Gould as, I don't know, have you seen any adaptations of Philip Marlowe beforehand?
No.
Okay, so this detective, are you familiar with the character at all?
No.
Okay, so Philip Marlowe is a classic literature character. He's like a detective. There's been, I think Howard Hawks might have done an adaptation. There was an adaptation, I think, 2 years ago with Liam Neeson as like an old man Marlowe that was dog shit. It was just called Marlowe. But these are all technically like the same character.
Okay.
And I was thinking about it, and I was reading, and a lot of people when this movie came out did not like this movie. Because he's supposed to be like a pretty good detective. Yeah. And in this, he's just simply not. Which I enjoyed. I don't really care. But
yeah, I mean, I walked away really liking this movie, but I feel like it's like the Mission Impossible thing. Like when I worked at Domino's, I had an old coworker who he's like, I fucking refuse to watch the new Mission Impossible movies because he's like such a diehard fan of the 60s movies, and I guess or the 60s show, and I guess, I don't know, there's like some sort of a middle finger to that 60s show.
Well, yeah, the main, have you seen the first movie?
No.
Okay. Do you care about spoilers for the first movie?
Not particularly, no.
If you don't care about if you care about spoilers for Mission Impossible 1, go away. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure, like, the kind of leader of the group, that's not Ethan Hunt, like the guy that puts everything together, is one of the main characters from the original Mission Impossible show, I think, if I remember correctly. And he turns out to be the villain. Like,
I see. Okay.
Which, you know, I get, but at the same time, if I watched that, I would be like, what the fuck? Like, if I was, I would have thought that was awesome.
I don't know. I guess I'd have, it would be
It'd
very
be like in, what's the Critters 4?
Kind of, yeah.
I think about Critters 4 more than most movies we've covered on the podcast.
What the fuck? It's so strange.
I don't think it's good, but I really think that there's something special inside of that movie that is just trying to get out.
I mean, I've only seen it the once. My VHS copy of it doesn't work.
I want to watch it again. And I don't even want to watch the first one again, and I like that one a lot.
The first one's pretty good. I mean, the second one is where it's at.
The one in the building?
No, that's the third one. The second one's the one where it's like, it's Easter and they go to the like the fast food restaurant and the big ball at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I liked that one.
That one's good.
I think I liked it. I think I probably...
That one.
I can probably guess what I gave them. 7, 6, 4, 5. And then like 1 for the new one.
I imagine you probably would switch the first one and the second one. But I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows? But the second one...
I should listen to all our old podcasts. Something I will never do.
Yeah,
I'll be like, who the fuck are these two?
Cringe. That's basically what I was doing. I was like, stop comparing things to David Lynch. I did that in the last episode too.
He's gonna die pretty soon.
I know, don't remind me. I was literally in the shower thinking
we're pretty close
deeply
to losing
about
so
that.
many big people. Like, I know Scorsese seems fine, but he's so old.
Yeah.
There are so many people that...
No, yeah, we're right on the cusp of losing, like, the remaining greats.
Which is crazy, because like, a lot of these people have been around for half of the time cinemas existed, pretty much. So...
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting...
Or more than half, actually.
...point in film history, because, yeah, we're about to... In the next handful of years, we're going to lose a lot of great ones.
It's like... When people are mad at Scorsese for, like, calling Marvel theme park movies, I'll be like, shut the fuck up!
This is an age-old discussion. It's the fucking blockbuster versus the fucking...
He wasn't even... Yeah, he was just stating a fact. They're like, yeah, they're fun, but like, they don't really mean anything.
It's a popcorn
afterwards.
movie versus, like...
That's why when a superhero movie actually says something, people go, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. It's like... It's okay. It's as old as time. Books, movies, plays, that you have the pulp and then you have the substance.
Yeah. The Substance. Now,
I
that
haven't
was a
seen
good
it.
movie.
I haven't seen it. I want to see it. I know it's streaming now. I need
Which is funny because The Substance is mostly pulp.
Probably. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Have you seen Society by Yuzna? I can't remember.
A long time ago.
Really similar to that.
Okay. I've heard people throwing...
If someone says it's like Cronenberg, tell them to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of Cronenberg x Kubrick.
The problem is that people's cultural touchstones for things, they only have these big, like, broad ideas. Like, they're like, oh, body horror, Cronenberg. And I'm like, that there are other directors that are famous for body horror.
Yeah,
and Cronenberg has a very specific type and a
state of mind in the flesh.
Yeah, and very specific themes that he's going for.
Yeah, which, I mean, maybe The Substance can fit into that. I mean, I know it's got the main theme is obviously aging, but I don't know. We're not talking about The Substance.
We're talking about Long Goodbye.
The Long Goodbye, yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I got into Marlowe. So yeah, there are expectations that I think weren't done correctly. But I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
It's one of my less favorites, I think. But I think it's another one that I think I just got to rewatch.
For the greater majority of watching these movies, I was walking away going, this one was my favorite. Mm-hmm. But after watching the last two I watched, I think those two might have topped it out. Yeah, I really like this one. It's
just like a really sleepy kind of detective story of almost like it's almost feels aimless at a lot of the time.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me a lot of like Under the Silver Lake for like in comparison.
I think that's another one I got to rewatch.
Same.
I wasn't super hot. I liked it, but I wasn't super hot on it. I know you were much more hot on it than I was.
I feel like I'm going to have the inverse where I'd watch it now and I would be less hot on it.
But there's something about this that it's just like, it's this dreamlike quality he has. Maybe it's because Gould is just like kind of wandering. He's like this wandering spirit. He is fucking fine as hell in this movie.
I know.
It's
I was
crazy.
like, what the fuck?
Also, I'd seen like GIFs of this online, but he's just constantly lighting his like matches on random ass shit. He's just in the middle of the street and he just goes down, does it against the ground. He's just like, I'm like, Jesus Christ, men used to look like that.
I know. Now we look like chipmunks.
Like, I think he's okay in MASH. Like, I think there's a good rapport, but I think he's wonderful in this. Mm-hmm. And he's just, his central premise is his friend shows up with a giant scratch on his face. He's like, hey, I need you to drive me like 100 miles away. And he does. He's like, sure, I got you. And he does. And then the next day, cops show up and they're like, hey, where is this guy? Mm-hmm. He murdered his wife.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not possible. He's my friend. He wouldn't do that. But then it also, my friend's dead too. So then he really starts like trying to figure stuff out a little bit. These people, Marty, I think, the guy the like drug runner, the guy that he owes money to.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So
a guy shows up and he's like, hey, your friend owed me like 15 grand. Like he was holding the money for me.
Yeah.
Where is it? And they like pretty much try to kill him.
What? That guy plays in something else.
I don't know. Did you see Arnold in this movie?
I did. I was like, what the fuck?
There's a couple cameos. Nashville. I don't know if you saw Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah. I mean, he was one of the billed cast.
Which is crazy because he doesn't have any dialogue. Or if he does, he's like, hey guys, how's it going?
Yeah, it's very small. It's like,
you want to get on my bike?
Yeah,
you should get that.
What?
That bike.
No, I'm not a motorcyclist.
Well, it's okay. It's a tricycle. Tricyclist. Motor tricyclist. It's kind of swag.
It's swag, but it's a Jeff Goldblum kind of swag. Not my type of swag.
Yeah, it's something I would drive probably.
Perhaps. But,
Arnold's just randomly in this movie.
Yeah.
And he has no dialogue. He's just in the background. He has a stupid little mustache.
Yeah, he does. Fucking. Yeah, this movie,
he's just trying to survive and also figure out what happened to his friend.
Meanwhile, he's also solving or kind of helping out this woman with her husband, who is like in a rehab being run by this
Dr. Vinegar.
Yes, who is played by, I don't know that actor's name. I should learn that actor's name. I always refer to him as the creepy guy from The Burbs, but
what was his name?
Usually he only plays a creep. I guess technically
he's pretty creepy in this.
Yeah, he's always got just like this menace to him. I think surprisingly the least
Dr. Veringer, sorry.
Yeah. The least menacing he came across was probably in Nashville, and even then he plays like still kind of like a not great character.
Yeah.
But
Henry Gibson.
I'll try to remember that. No promises. I'm terrible with names, as any regular listener of the podcast may know. But is it Harry or Henry Gibson?
Henry Gibson.
Okay, I'm already forgetting.
Yeah. Harry Gobbler?
Yeah. Mel Malk Gibson.
Melk Gibson.
But I wonder if they're related. Probably not.
Oh, Passion of the Christ 2. He's making it. Are you excited?
What the fuck's it gonna be?
I don't know. Modern day, maybe? That'd be good.
Okay.
Anyway, Long Goodbye. This is actually kind of the way that the film's structured. It really has a lot of asides that it just goes into.
Yeah, that's kind of all of Altman's movies. Yeah. They all kind of just you never. It's never a straight line. It's not like we got.
And then suddenly the ending hits, and it's like a rope has been like kind of laid out, and suddenly it's pulled taut, and you see the image. And it's like, wow!
Yeah, it's really interesting how he does that,
and he does it so well in most of them. Like, what the fuck? What the hell? How do you do that?
It's like, shit. But yeah, and her husband
is a scumbag, but he also something else is wrong. Like you're obviously at the same position as Marlowe, and you're like, I'm not getting all the answers here.
Yeah.
And the husband eventually kills himself. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna go into the water, and he just walks in the ocean and dies. Theoretically.
Which, yeah, and the thing I like about that is I felt like that was kind of left open to interpretation for a lot of things. Because obviously, I mean, spoiler alert, we know he didn't kill his friend's wife because he meets the friend at the end and he admits to killing his wife. So it's like, all right. But one of the things that crossed my mind when I was watching it was Dr. Gibson.
Berenger.
Yeah, Berenger. There's that scene where he goes to the party and he like kind of like whispers in his ear, and it's like I almost wonder if like there's some sort of like brainwashing or something that.
Well, it seems like that's the vibe at the place when he goes to it,
and it almost seems like he like whispers like a trigger or something into his ear, and like it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, it feels like it's interesting because it feels like there's other mysteries afoot that Marlowe's just like, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm busy. I gotta figure out what happened to my friend.
Yeah, because it definitely feels like almost like an intentional choice to make him like he's not like so far where he's like a bumbling fool or anything. Like he's,
but it feels like he's stumbling upon the answers unintentionally.
He's very reactionary in the movie for sure. He's not really seeking things out as much as like the answers are kind of seeking him out, it seems. But
he eventually figures out that his friend faked his death and he had murdered his wife because he was in a relationship with Eileen, I want to say, which is the other woman, the woman that hired him.
Yes. Sean, what a fucking shocker.
Yeah. And he shows up
in a noir
back in wherever the friend Terry went to hide. And he's he confronts him. He's like, you were fine. And he's like, I was almost killed. He's like, you're fine. You want some money? You know, he's like, you killed your wife. And he's like, you lose everything. You even lost your cat. You're a born loser. And then Marlowe just fucking shoots him and walks away.
Yeah.
He plays a harmonica that he was given.
Yeah. Passes the woman on the way.
She just looks and he just keeps on walking.
I fucking love this one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It's a vibe.
The vibe is exceptional. And it looks really good. And Gould is tremendous. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I watched it and I'm like, I liked it, but I want to rewatch it. And all of these, I'm like, should I rewatch it right now? And I ultimately was like, no, probably not.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't do well to immediately rewatch it. Maybe Images would. The way I watched Images really felt like the way I watched Mulholland Drive. I think that has. As much as we were like, stop talking about David Lynch, that one actually makes me feel like it's similar.
Yeah. No, that's mostly a note for me.
Yeah.
There are other directors out there than David Lynch, Thomas.
I don't think so. I think he's the one.
He kind of is. Which is funny that you bring that up, because that's actually like, he's super into like transcendental meditation, and like constantly throughout like Twin Peaks, they're calling Laura Palmer the one, which is apparently like the dreamer. Anyway, yeah, I'm sure you get the concept, but David Lynch is the one. And the dream's close to end.
God. It's gonna be rough.
Yeah. At least, I don't know why I was gonna paint that like a silver lining. Like, we have time to emotionally prepare, but no, you can't prepare for something like that.
I would give this one a 7. I liked it. I think I would like it more, though.
Yeah, I'll give this one an 8. A little meandering, but I enjoyed it.
Let's talk about his big ensemble film, which is Nashville.
Yeah.
Which has like 24 characters in it that we're jumping in between.
Yeah,
It has a lot, and it takes place over a week. They're all big singers in Nashville getting ready for a concert that's promoting this populist president that's gonna make big changes.
Sure. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And throughout the entire movie, you just constantly see this van going around just yelling different promises to the people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so there's...
Yeah.
I don't even really know how to talk about this movie because there's so many characters.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that we're hot off the press of fucking November 5th, 2024, and all the shit that happened leading up to that, and how that... Like, this is... Yeah, just watching this movie so close to that...
This one,
It was interesting, to say the least.
I love this movie. This is my favorite Altman movie that we watched.
It's easily, from the selection we had, his magnum opus.
Yeah, I watched this, and it's the same thing. I was connecting, and then the ending hit me so hard, and I just started to sob. And maybe it's because of Trump getting reelected. Maybe it's because, I think the country is at this certain state of turmoil that, maybe it's always been at, and I was just a kid and I didn't understand that. But there's this certain, hopelessness that's kind of in the movie the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, being covered up by these random acts, but at the back of it, it's just, life's dog shit. Almost,
Yeah.
But it really hit me hard.
Yeah, it certainly dives into that sort of... I feel like the best representation of that is probably the BBC person that goes around and is kind of excitedly looking at all these aspects of American life. She's going through the junkyard and stuff, and
which I was reading, and it's I don't think there are theories that she's not a real reporter. That she was, because she calls it the British Broadcasting Company, which is not, it's the British Broadcasting Corporation, and she constantly is just fucking the musicians. So I could see it. I could see that she's just trying to get laid, but also it's an interesting, because you're seeing an outsider's perspective, and she's constantly oh, yeah, I loved Israel, I love Kenya.
Yeah.
So you're seeing her perspective. You're seeing what is her name? The one that's Barbara Jean.
Yeah.
Who is really, really sad character.
Yeah.
She's had some problems with drugs, most likely. They said she had a burn accident, and it's she was probably in rehab. Because immediately after she faints as soon as she lands, and then she's hospital, she's bedridden, and then she's still being propped up by I think it's her husband. Slash agent,
husband manager, and
who is oh, look what you're doing to my poor wife, but we're gonna do it anyway. I was just Jesus. And then she's the one that ultimately, at the end of the movie, at the culmination of this events at this concert, there's a shooting by this guy. I don't know. I didn't expect that. Maybe I was. I don't know why.
I did,
because I should have. I should have seen it coming, but I don't know. I think I was lost in the illusion of the movie.
Yeah. I think the scene where it clicked for me was the scene where he was on the phone with his mom.
He's I don't need this blue suit. He's I'm I don't know. Yeah.
There was a lot going on in that scene between, I mean, just the relationship between him and his mother, that, and also, like, the fact that, like, fucking Shelley Duvall's character was picking up the case.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, put that down. What
was his name? Kenny?
I don't remember.
There's a character who's kind of just, like, wandering throughout the movie, and he's, like, he's like, oh, I'm here on a break and stuff, and then he ends up shooting up the concert.
Yeah.
But the only one that dies is Barbara Jean, who is maybe the most tragic of the characters. Maybe not the most tragic, because there's also, Sue Lean, I think her name is. She's the very pretty one that can't sing and who is constantly objectified.
I felt bad for her.
Yeah. There's a woman who can't sing, but she's being propped up as if she can because she's got a rockin' mod. Yeah. At least according to everyone else. And there's a scene where they're like,
what are you trying to say?
If you she was a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
But a lot of people in the 70s movies are just a little too skinny for big London.
Fair enough.
But very beautiful woman. But there's a scene later on where she's like promised that she'll have a place in the big concert with Barbara Jean if she strips for these men. And she does, and it's just really, and she does it in such a sad way, and she's obviously super uncomfortable, and she's like, I don't want to do this, and it's just really, really heartbreaking. And there's such a keen eye for, like, the suffering of women in this, at least to me, that then I watched MASH, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, like I said, I think a big component of why MASH is so bad is because Altman had joined a burning fucking movie at that point. He was just directing it. I mean, I'm sure he fucking made decisions on the movie, but hopefully not the bad ones.
But yeah, this one, it's just everything hit me as it was happening, and then everything hit me suddenly again as the movie ended.
Yeah. This was one of the ones where I was watching it for the first, like, 75% of it. I was like, A lot of characters, kind of hard to keep track of. And, like, once you got to that, like, third act, though, like, once we were starting to kind of see more of the culmination of scenes, like, the gospel lady and the guy who's in the trio who's, like, sleeping around with all the girls. Yeah. Like, that I remember, like, around that point, I was like,
wait a minute.
This is kind of catching my... I'm starting to feel the vibe now.
Well, it's interesting because it also feels like...
And that's pretty late into the movie, though, so maybe that's... on rewatch, I'll probably... But anyway, sorry. I
was just going to say, like, I was more positive. I was liking all of it, pretty much, but everything started to click, and it was like, no matter how small or minute a situation is or an interaction with a person is, it can culminate in these things. Like, everything felt like it was meaningful at the end, even if in the moment it didn't for me. Mm-hmm. Which, if a movie can do that, it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because it really just throws everything on its head.
Yeah. No, it's always a super admirable trait for a movie to have, especially when it's like, I don't know. I feel like once you've watched enough movies, like, they can easily kind of, like, fall in that line of predictability. So when it's like, a lot of times you want to, like, throw more elements in there to kind of, like, throw you off your guard, but then it kind of feels like it could be meandering. But yeah, it's a balancing act, but when it's pulled off, it's really effective. But
yeah, it's just really interesting to have a movie that feels like it has so much stuff and so many characters, and then at the end of the day I walk away being like, I don't feel like there was a single wasted moment in that movie. Like,
no, yeah. Like, there's a lot of characters, but, like, they all have, like, their very specific amount of screen time to convey their points and their stories. And yeah, maybe there is some stuff that, like, if you're looking at it like, oh, this movie's like 2 hours and 40 minutes long, we don't need maybe like these little jovial scenes here and there, but like that is part of the pacing. And
also there was the lady that was constantly running around. She was like running from her husband. She was trying to get signed.
Yeah, the one who sings at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the whole time she's like, I gotta get onto a stage and sing. And she's trying the whole fucking movie.
And then she
goes to like a NASCAR concert and can't be heard.
Yeah. And then her big break is because of the death of another woman. It's just like ironic and pretty realistic when just like, beautiful singing, and I'm just like, oh God,
and the lyrics to the song, because like what, it don't bother me none, or something akin to that. Just basically like, don't think about it, and then there's still like a big fucking bountiful crowd,
and then
there.
People start singing again after like running away,
and it's like 30 seconds ago, like
a woman died in front of you.
World superstar just got fucking murked on stage.
Or maybe she didn't die, but she certainly looked like she was dead.
Yeah, that regardless.
Yeah.
Bad situation. But yeah, it just kind of goes to... And that was in the 70s. Like, the attention spans weren't even as fucked as they are nowadays. Nowadays, it's really, I'm not fucking bothered by this shit.
Yeah, it's...
And just to fucking point them out, since it happened, like, a few months ago. Like, when, Henry Gibson's character
got shot
in the arm and goes like, he literally goes
this
up.
Don't happen in doubt. He just does
sing. It is like fucking almost verbatim to Trump's fight in a way. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and maybe the last, and it, maybe it's because this movie's just about 50 years old now, and it feels like it's just cyclical. Our entire existence is it's just going in a cycle.
Yeah, I mean, it happens.
And things get worse.
It's almost like we're circling the drain.
And there's always hope, I guess, but watching this movie, as much as I loved it, at the end of the day, I was just like, maybe there is no hope. Other thing about Altman movies, they're kind of evil. There's a lot of these movies I'm just like,
well, yeah, I feel like
this man really wants to convey the evil of humanity.
Yeah, I think a big motif in all of his work is kind of showing, not necessarily strictly like binary evil, but having characters that are in that gray area.
Yeah.
At the very least, if not further to the slimy side. But
I think The Player might be the most evil movie we watched today.
Perhaps, yeah.
But
I don't know, Popeye.
And Popeye.
That guy's pretty mean.
Yeah. He's large.
I'm large and I'm mean. But anyway, Nashville. What a fucking movie. I'm gonna buy the Blu-ray for this.
Yeah, me too. I
might buy the Blu-rays for like all of these except for MASH.
Yeah, I'm gonna pay attention next year and see if there's a showing near us for the 50th anniversary, because I would love to see this in a theater as well.
Yeah, hopefully that
maybe downtown has one.
Yeah, that would be nice.
But
maybe we can email them or message their Facebook. Please do Nashville next.
I wonder if they're doing another. I don't know the last time they did like a re-release, but I wonder if there's gonna be like a 4K for the 50th. If there isn't already, because I can't remember if this was on Criterion or not. I can't remember where I watched this one. I watched, I think, The Player on Criterion, and maybe Images. I don't remember. No, Images I had to find on a random ass website. I was really having trouble finding Images.
Oh, weird.
I don't know why. It wasn't available to purchase on any digital. It's
one of the more popular ones too. So.
I hate women. Anyway, I'd give this one a 10. Like, easy 10 for me.
Yeah, it's probably a 10. Yeah. I'd probably agree.
I don't know how this would get better on rewatch, but it might.
Yeah. Classic. This one belongs in the Library of Congress. Unlike MASH.
Yeah, fuck MASH. Anyway, let's talk about Three Women, which is the last one I watched. Yesterday I watched MASH, and then Three Women. I think I liked Three Women a little more. This has Shelley Duvall and Sissy Spacek. Is that how you say the last name? Spacek?
I think so, yeah.
which I haven't seen her in a lot of things. I think I've seen her in later stuff, like when she's older, but, and I've seen Carrie, but it's been a really long time, but she's really good in this. I think Shelley Duvall's really good in this too. Also, before like a lot of these Altman movies, I had not seen Shelley Duvall in a lot of things besides like The Shining. Yeah. And her performances in these are so different. Mm-hmm.
She definitely. I feel so fucking bad for her and the fact that she just did not know, she knew what she was signing up for, but I don't think she knew to the full extent of what she was signing up for with Kubrick.
The thing is, I've been reading more, because I remember, like, we've talked a lot about Kubrick's treatment, but then more recently I've been reading more, and I think she was fine. Like, she did not have a good time, but she was, like, still, like, friends with Kubrick afterwards, and she talked about him in, like, a positive light, and she's like, please don't, and she's even said, like, she had a lot of mental issues later on. She's like, this is not because of that, and please don't say it is, pretty much.
I don't know, because I know a lot of people, like, mark the start of the trajectory of her, like, mental decline after Kubrick, and I know, like, the process put a lot of stress on her. Just because, like, she says she doesn't think it's because of him. I don't necessarily think that's true, but also, like, it's not like I'm gonna fucking stop watching, like, the Kubrick movies I like, or boycott The Shining, because obviously she's very proud of her work in it. Yeah. So it's like, why?
And she's really good in it. I think I like her in this maybe the most of the things I've watched her in. This was easy. So this one, Altman, I read the Wikipedia, and he's like, I woke up from a dream and decided to make this movie. And he's like, and his original intention was to make it without a screenplay.
That sounds like something he would do based off the little bit I read about him.
And this is the most probably like dream-like movie.
For sure.
And it does, I feel it is a really good sister movie to Images. Because it's about, like, you know, kind of multiple kind of identities and how we view ourselves. Sissy Spacek plays a character in this, Pinky, who shows up one day and she has a job at, like, kind of it's a pool, but it's for, like, a rehab center for, like, older people to keep their bodies mobile, kind of thing. I should start going to those. My legs are fucking killing me lately. We're old. And she meets Shelley Duvall's character, who's really, like, self-absorbed and really confident. And you're like, this lady's the coolest character ever. And then everyone fucking hates her.
Yeah.
Everyone despises her character. It's, but she's, like, has this bravado to her, and Sissy Spacek's character is obsessed with her. And for a big chunk of the movie, they have kind of like an older sister, younger sister, almost dynamic to them. Sissy Spacek moves in, and eventually you discover that Millie's character, Millie, which is Shelley Duvall's character, is sleeping with who is essentially her landlord, who has a pregnant wife, who is painting these crazy-ass murals all the time with these lizard people fucking, usually.
The wife is, not the wife.
Oh, yeah, the landlord's wife, who's pregnant and painting these. Yes. And he's the only one that gives Millie attention. And Sissy Spacek's character, Pinky, is like, hey, this is bad. And Millie tells her off, and Pinky tries to kill herself, pretty much. She jumps off the second floor of the motel apartment building into the pool, hits her head.
Goes into a coma.
Yeah. And when she awakens, she doesn't remember her parents. Theoretically, maybe those aren't her parents. I don't know.
I don't... That's one of the question marks, and obviously it's kind of left to be ambiguous, but there's a lot of question marks with Pinky's character in general. Because even before she hits her head, like, she's clearly doing, like, the shady stuff, but she also is, like, doing things to, like, steal parts of Mildred's identity.
Yeah.
Like, she steals her social security number. And
they have the same social security number on their work paperwork, which comes to a head later on.
Mm-hmm.
But when she wakes up, she's pretty much adopted her personality. Like, she's a lot more confident and self-obsessed.
Yeah.
And Millie starts acting like her old counterpart, and they've practically swapped roles. And it stays that way until the night where Pinky has a dream, like a nightmare, which is a crazy sequence. It's really cool to look at, especially because the editing techniques of the 70s are so different, and the things they had to do were so different, so it looks pretty unique. But she wakes up and it feels like she's back to her normal self, and they sleep in like the same bed together. And then Edgar walks in, who's the landlord, and he's like drunk, and he's like, I should be celebrating. My wife's giving birth. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
And they chase down Willie, who is the wife, and she's giving birth, and she gives birth to a stillborn baby. Meanwhile, Pinky was supposed to go get help, and she was just standing outside. Whether it's her aloofness or whether it's terror, or it's not really said, but she just can't seem to move, and she just watches in horror or curiosity or something.
Yeah.
And
it's like, call an ambulance. That's what they're there for. I don't think you would have been necessarily. It still probably would have been expensive back then, but might not have had to mortgage your house to fucking call one. But
like, we can't get her to. They're like, go get a doctor, and then the baby's stillborn. And then it cuts to even again, and Edgar is dead, and Millie is running the shop and has pretty much adopted Willie's personality.
Yeah.
And Pinky is like the most like childlike wonder she had at the beginning is kind of twofold in this. She's even more, and she calls her like mom, and Willie is outside and she's like a grandma almost, even though they've maybe aged a year.
Yeah.
And these three women all kind of converge on each other, and the movie ends, and it's implied that they killed Edgar. And they're like, oh, he had an accident and he was so good with guns. When earlier it was like, nothing's scarier than a woman that knows how to shoot, and he was teaching both Millie and Pinky to shoot.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, whoops. But yeah, that's the central basis of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie is really good. Really fucking effective. I think it had me fucking cringing in my skin throughout a decent chunk of its runtime, just because I don't know. I'm really bad with just I don't know, shit where it's like, oh, let me go over and pull out the key for Millie's diary, and I'm gonna read it and leave the key on the bed, and I'm like, ah! So stuff like that drives me crazy, and this movie is full of it, and not in a bad way. Yeah. Obviously, it's all done very intentionally and effectively.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's done cheaply like that. I'm not saying that diary scene's cheaply, but that could be a cheap if it was just stuff like that. But
yeah.
Just the ultimate character dynamics, the weird infatuation that Pinky has with Mildred in the first leg of the movie. There are points where it's I kind of see this. It's kind of cute that she's got a little crush on her, but then it quickly crosses lines. Yeah. And it's yeah, and it's just oh. Yeah. There's a lot of oof moments.
Yeah, it's just a really interesting kind of tale on how somebody's gaze, the way someone appears to another can really affect each other. Mm-hmm. And how personalities can shift depending on how another personality interacts with you.
Yeah.
And it's just... It's like Altman wrote this in a fugue state, but I think it works.
It feels like he did.
But this is like the perfect movie. It's been like really rainy and dark lately, and this is the perfect movie for like a rainy night. It really feels like sleepy. A lot of these movies feel really sleepy and in like a positive way.
I don't know why. I feel like this movie would be like a really good like kind of compare contrast double feature with like something like Desert Hearts. I don't know why. I just feel like they're a vibe. Like I don't know. I need to rewatch that movie though. On a different note, but
me too.
Yeah.
I had someone borrow my Criterion for like a year, and then they never watched it.
What?
Yeah, which is fine. I have it back, so I'll watch it soon.
Yeah,
because I don't think I haven't watched the physical version. I watched it on the Criterion channel originally, and I'm like, I gotta get this when it was on sale.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna have to save up for there.
Most of my Criterions. Oh, my favorite thing about having the streaming service is like every 3 months or so they'll give you a free like $10 gift card. Oh, so every time a sale comes by, I'm like, I have a free $50.
Yeah. Usually, if I try to buy their Blu-rays, I try to buy them through the website, and then I can get the points. But yes.
Yeah, this movie really worked for me. I think the ending, I was like, what the fuck? A little bit, I was just like, huh? What's happening?
Yeah, the ending is a little jarring. I was not expecting that time skip with those events, but I think it works.
Yeah, I think it works, absolutely. And there's just a lot of really interesting character moments in this and how these characters shift throughout the movie. Obviously not really Willie, who's mostly like the background character.
Yeah.
But it's also essential to like all of the plot points.
Yeah.
I also like how the movie shifts its protagonist for a while. Because Pinky is the protagonist for the most part. Mm-hmm. And then she goes into the coma and it just switches protagonists for a while.
Yeah.
And then when they come back, they're kind of dual protagonists, but they've switched personalities, which is also pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But lots to think about with this one.
Indeed.
Lots to sit on. And I think I've let myself sit for a couple of days on all of else, but this one is the most fresh in my mind, so I think I need to sit on it a little more. But I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I thought it was very good, and I am definitely going to rewatch it again in the future.
And I'm gonna figure out what that third movie in the trilogy was, which is the first one I think he made of the three, and I want to watch that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd give this one an 8.
Yeah, I'd probably give it like an 8.
He's large.
He's large. Popeye. So, okay.
Oh, gratitude.
Had you seen this before?
No.
Okay.
Of course not.
I wasn't sure.
I wish.
So, when I was a kid...
Your dad would walk around quoting this movie.
No, but they did indoctrinate me into Popeye at a young age. So I watched a lot of Popeye the Sailor Man growing up. I love the cartoon.
Popeye the Sailor Man.
It might be consistently more problematic than some other cartoons from its time, depending on which era of Popeye you're watching. But good Popeye is good Popeye. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Good Popeye, good Popeye.
But, yeah, so when I was a kid, I used to watch this all the time, but I didn't really like it when I was a kid.
You just watched it?
It was like Ron Williams, Popeye, you know? And it's like, yeah, you kind of got to give it the old college try.
You have to be an adult to really understand the film of Popeye.
No, that's not the direction I'm going, but... I used to... It always just was very bland, and it didn't feel like Popeye to me, but... You know, watching it this time, I kind of really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I mean, obviously I'm less bored by it now as an adult, compared to a kid. I don't think the tone of this movie works for like Popeye fans. Really, it seemed like this movie seems like a weird choice in general. But it's like, I don't know. The casting of Robin Williams and Shelley Duvall is like pretty good, even though
Shelley Duvall's crazy as olive oil. Like I'm like, that looks like a
Robin Williams has some, like, obviously they had to like ADR over him because I don't think
he was mumbling the whole time.
Yeah. So it's like it didn't. And that in Altman's weird fucking style is like strange. Yeah. It's a strange choice. That on top of everything else, it's also a fucking musical.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting. I guess we'll talk about the music real quick. I think I like the music because it's like complete nonsense. It feels like he wrote it on a napkin and then it was like, let's put it on. But also, I can't get them out of my head.
Hold on.
He's Lord.
Would you be opposed to pausing this for like a second so I can show you a video real quick? I have to. I meant to show you before we started recording.
Sure, we'll be right back.
Okay.
And we're back once more. Thomas just showed me 10 hours of Popeye porn.
It's true.
Yeah. But I don't know. Yes, I agree with the video you showed me, which is just nonsense.
Yeah. For a more Screen Weens centered example, it more accurately, it reminded me a lot. You remember the
Garbage Pail Kids movie? The random one.
I try not to. I was going to say A Christmas Carol with Albert Finney, where he has like, I like life. Life likes me.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like kind of that same style of musical where it just feels like the actors like improv lyrics and a tune on set, and then like an orchestra came in during post-production and was just like, all right, let's fucking go.
Life likes. And, I think I like that. It's weird, but it's kind of fun.
It's a style. I can see why it would be off-putting to a lot of people, and like at face value, it's very just like jarring. But once you kind of get into the groove of it, it's like, well, this kind of works in its own weird way.
I think to enjoy the Popeye film, you have to kind of give in to the delusion.
You do.
With the bits, they're going so hard into the bits. You have to give in to the bit. Yeah, you know, the way that Robin Williams plays Popeye, you really gotta give yourself over to it. Mm-hmm. And the random-ass songs, everything is food.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna fucking choke myself out in my sleep.
Yeah.
And all he's large.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, when I was listening to it, I was just like, dee.
Yeah, they all kind of work in a weird way.
Yeah.
Some better than others. I think He's Large is probably the one where it's like, what is this?
Yes. But like the opening song is probably the closest we get to an actual like song too. The like Sweet Haven song.
Sweet Haven song. I think the Popeye song is almost there. I mean, considering the fact that it's Popeye singing, but like there's an actual kind of tune and a structure to the song. It builds up, it gets to this big bombastic point. But yeah, I was surprised. I was curious to see how the tune action was going to work in the movie. Mm-hmm. I actually liked most of it. I thought it looked pretty good.
A lot of it I laughed really hard at. Like when he kicks the castor oil into the fucking moon or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's like one,
or when he starts getting screwed into the ground by Bluto.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, the wheel scene, it kind of looks cheap. You can tell it's like a fucking wheel prop, but it's funny, where it's just boom, down. And then, I think my favorite, it's so simple, and it was so stupid, but there's, like, it's during the bar fight scene where he has his first bar fight. He just starts, like, punching this guy in his face. He's like,
yeah, it's fun, yeah.
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 And I don't know who that one background character was, the guy who was like kicking his hat throughout the movie, but he's a weird physical comedy guy throughout the movie, and he's got a lot of great bits. Like, there's a part where he gets like scrunched down. It's like, oh
yeah. When I watch it, I'm like, ah,
yeah.
Because even though it's obvious, he's just like for whatever reason, my body was just like, oh,
Yeah, just the thought.
Yeah, I think this movie works a lot better than I expected it to.
Yeah.
I don't think it's great. I think it's probably like a half an hour too long, but
Perhaps.
I liked it.
Yeah.
It's just like a lot of it also feels aimless. Maybe it's the Altmanism, but it's just like Popeye's just kind of hanging out this town. He finds the baby, and then he's just kind of sitting around for a while.
To be fair, I don't know. I don't know how much aim I would want from a Popeye movie, though.
That's fair. I'm not familiar with Popeye almost at all. Like, I've seen a handful of the shorts and stuff, and I know him. He loved the spinach.
Yeah.
Does he love spinach in the show?
Yeah, he does.
In this, it's like,
they got to build up
spinach,
to it.
yeah.
And
then he gets really strong, and he fights the tentacle monster.
Yeah, because Popeye, when he eats his spinach, I mean, he's like, that's like Goku going Super Saiyan. Like, it's a big power up for him. So, yeah.
Could have just made it so he loved spinach and Sweet Haven had none. And then he finds one in the box.
That is true. They could have done that.
I wish I had me spinach. Oh, I hate spinach. I don't want to eat enough spinach.
But they wanted to develop that.
I'm Puppy the Sealer, man. the whole like day afterwards, I just got, hey, Puppy, how are you? Don't mince me words. Fully.
I'm gonna just start saying that. I loved how aggressively anytime somebody
Visca Verska. I've been saying Visca Verska because instead of like
they just throw K's in
Visca
the
Verska
words.
How to raise an orphan.
Yeah, it's like what? But yeah, I don't know. This movie's just stupid, but
yeah,
it's fun. It's this movie is probably for a very small demographic of people nowadays.
We just happen to be part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Popeye head, like, for the movie, but it was fun. I was surprised.
Just watch, like, a best of YouTube playlist or something. There's a bunch of them on there.
Yeah, I like this one. I think I would have liked this more if I was, like, intoxicated.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. I could see it.
No, it was something.
Yeah.
And I do think that it really works because of how far into the bit Robin Williams is, this was his first, like, big feature role.
Yeah, and
that's crazy.
Yeah. And yeah, I wonder if that maybe had something to do with his performance, like, just due to the fact that, like, maybe he didn't have as much acting control as maybe he would have liked or something. But
it works.
Yeah, it works. Because his performance is good, but, like, I don't know. There's just something a little off about it. I don't know what.
Yeah, I have no idea if I would like this movie more or less if I watched Popeye. Like, if I was a big Popeye head.
I mean, it's not like you live or die on the Popeye Hill. It's not like there's a hardcore canon to follow. So
there might be for some people.
I'm sure there probably is, but they're fucking stupid. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, this is a fun little movie about Popeye trying to go to New Haven so he can find his dad, but he ends up getting a big old family. So,
and he does find Pappy.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I knew you were my son. You don't like spinach then, you don't like spinach now.
Yeah, this is fucking dad. His dad is just an asshole.
Never eat your spinach, and it's the power of our family.
Yeah. Okay. It's your birthright.
Yeah, stupid ass movie.
Yeah, it's stupid, but it's great.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. Probably like a 6.
Yeah, I give it a 6. I was really hoping you were gonna be like 9.
No.
Love Popeye.
Yeah.
10.
Popeye, but all the P's are 9s. But alright.
Alright. The Player. With Tim Robbins. He's fine in this movie.
It's true. Tim Robbins, in my head, I always forget he's so tall. I'm always like,
He's only 6'5".
Well, what okay. That's only like a whole fucking foot taller than me. But he emits such short guy energy, and then I always like see him and he's like fucking lanky as shit. I was like, what the fuck? No! Yeah. I don't know what it is, but yeah, he was phenomenal in this movie. Yeah, this is a good movie.
Yeah, I really like this one.
I was really off-put by like the first 5 minutes because I feel like it was front-loaded with a lot of exposition, and I was like, oh god, is this going to be like another Nashville? I just watched Nashville. I can't process this
I do think it's there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek moments where they're like the opening, I think maybe the opening line is like talking about they're talking about the tracking shot, and then they're like, there was a 6.5 minute tracking shot. And the scene we're watching is like a 6.5 minute tracking shot. And I'm like, hey. Yeah. There's a lot of like in jokes. There's like, it really feels like a movie for people that like movies.
For sure. Yeah.
Like, even though this movie's fun, I think Pierre would have hated this one.
Oh.
He liked Popeye.
Yeah. There might have been just enough like non-meta meat on the bone for him to be absorbed into the story, maybe, but yeah, all the like niche Hollywood like film history references he would have
but I thought it was very fun. But yeah, Tim Robbins plays a Hollywood exec who is getting he is afraid that he's going to get the boot soon from his job, but he's also he's been getting threatening messages being like, you never got back to me about my story. You're the writer's enemy. I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah.
And he eventually starts to try to track down the person, and he's convinced it is a guy played by Vincent D'Onofrio. And he like meets the guy's like partner.
That was Vincent D'Onofrio?
Yeah.
What the
fuck? He looks so different. But yeah, that's him.
Okay.
Yeah.
What the
He's hot in this too.
I didn't even make that connection. I know. I like fit. Like, it's not like I'm like face blind to him typically.
Yeah. This was probably, when did Men in Black 1 come out?
Like 99, I think.
Was it 99?
Yeah. I guess I'm just used to him not having hair and stuff between like Kingpin and Full Metal Jacket. So
yeah. Full Metal Jacket. Now that's a movie.
That is a movie.
Men in Black, 97, and then Player was 92. Okay, so I guess it was a 5-year difference.
Okay. But yeah. So yeah, he thinks that
is Vincent D'Onofrio in Kingpin?
Not in Kingpin. He plays Kingpin.
Oh! I was just like, what the fuck? Who does he play in Kingpin?
No, not the Farley brothers.
Yeah, you can't stop thinking about Marvel. I can't stop thinking about bowling movie.
Oh well. But fucking what's it called?
Bowling?
I guess.
He kind of starts a relationship with Vincent D'Onofrio's partner. I think they were partners at one point, but they kind of seem like they're just roommates now. And he also accidentally kills Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio like pushes him down, and he like, I was not expecting that turn to happen because I saw him push him and it hit his head, and I was like, oh fuck, what the shit?
I'm like,
is this the guy gonna try to kill him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Tim Robbins just fucking strangles him and then like shoves his face into like
a muddy puddle.
Yeah, puddle, and then he dies, and then he runs away.
Breaks the window because it had his palm print on it. But yeah, so
starts fucking his ex-wife or whatever.
Yeah. There's like a guy who works for the studio who basically like confronts him the next morning and is like, yeah, I put all the fucking pieces together. You murdered that guy. And
I didn't do that.
I didn't know. No, it wasn't me. Well, okay. Well, you better... this is going to be a fucking turbulent storm you're going through. Congratulations. Because he's basically PR, like...
Yeah, he's the head of security, and he's like, that means security in and outside of the studio.
Yeah.
And it's like, This is, like I said, probably one of the more evil, because it's just like everyone constantly is just like, yeah, we just need to save face. It's all about saving face. It's all about, money and corporate mandates. There's these two people that are really wanting their movie to get made, and they eventually do, and they completely butcher the ending.
Yeah.
And they're like, please don't. We can't. And they're like, but it's fine now.
Yeah. He's like, the 2 fucking test screenings, the audiences hated it, so.
I changed it.
Yeah, which I feel that happens. That happened in Little Shop of Horrors, which, I like its theatrical ending too, but.
Yeah.
It's a shame that fucking director's cut ending was just on a cutting room floor for like 20 years.
Yeah.
30 years, whatever it was. But yeah.
Yeah. You know what happens in the director's cut? In Little Shop of Horrors? The plant at the end?
Yeah.
He's large.
He is. He's large. And he's mine.
I've been losing my voice all day, so it's really fun that we recorded a 3-hour podcast.
Yeah. I feel it. I am not quite 20 hours yet, but pushing it.
You'll go sleepy.
I will shortly after this.
But
go get Baconator, go home, go bed.
Go get the Baconator. But yeah, he's just winning the whole movie. He just wins. He gets the girl. He breaks up with his other girlfriend, who was like just mostly a sweet lady.
Yeah.
Who was just trying to do her job. And then she eventually gets fired because he wins the whole studio with them. He's just like, be evil and you win.
Yeah. And I read it somewhere last time we did the episode on Sunrise, where they were talking about like the ending of that movie had it been filmed in Germany versus the Hollywood ending. And I was thinking about that in the context of this movie, because it very much feels like that same kind of tactic, although it's not really a tactic in that movie. It's as much of an observation with Sunrise, but where it's like, that movie, if filmed in Germany, would have ended with the super down ending, because that's c'est la vie,
That's cinema, baby, yeah.
But you gotta give it the happy ending. But I was also thinking about it, and it's like, no, like this is like...
This is the bad ending.
Yeah,
like,
this is the bad ending.
He's the villain. Yes. Like, he's the bad guy.
Exactly.
He steals... He kills a guy for doing nothing. Like, I know he, like, attacked him, but he started it. Like,
yeah.
He kills a guy. He fucks his ex.
Yeah.
He cheats on his girlfriend. He doesn't get the boot, and he then takes over the entire like company. The guy he was so worried about taking over works for him. Mm-hmm. He fires the woman that was in love with him.
Yeah.
He just wins.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, no, this is the bad ending. This is the ending that I'm just like, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
What the hell?
But I feel like it laid the seeds for like the actual like reality of like potentially like you could interpret like this is just like not what really happened.
Because he says the same thing. He says traffic was a bitch, which is the same thing that happens in the good ending of the movie they're making.
Well, the stuff like that, and also like there are outs to like where you could conceivably like be like, no, like, because he did like tell when he was sleeping with the dude's ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, he's like, I killed him, or I was responsible.
Yeah, and like she's like, don't tell me, and then like when they're in the mud spa and he gets like the call from his lawyer, like she does give this look of like concern, like, oh, what the fuck, like. And that's very contrasted to the next time you see her in the ending when she's up on the balcony and it's, all smiles and sunshine. He got the girl and his happy ending. But it's like, is that really the reality of what's going on? I mean, maybe, because, it's a fucking movie, you know? But
it's like in The Last Laugh. Like, this could be...
Yeah, exactly. That's a better example than The Sunshine. Or Sunrise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this might be a false ending.
Exactly, yeah.
But at the same time, I think Altman might just have been angry at this time. Being like, yeah, the movie executives fucking suck. I hate them all.
Probably. Yeah, I'm sure that was definitely a part of it. Especially because I know before he was a director, he did try to be a writer. So he might have had a bone to pick. But, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, this movie was fucking fantastic. Tim Robbins is really fucking good in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it just, I got accustomed to it. I thought it looked really bad at the start, like a made-for-TV movie, but then it kind of, like, didn't as it went along. I don't know if it was just those opening shots on the lot, like if they were just too brightly lit and the way that they were, like, kind of shot with a lot of panning. I don't know. It just struck me as very, like, I don't know, the like fucking Hallmark kind of movies in a certain sense. Not that bad or cheap, but like, I don't know, maybe it was just that sharp contrast of the fact that we basically went through his 70s run for the most part. And then,
yeah, and then it looks substantially different. I didn't, but I also, this was one of the first ones I watched, so I watched Popeye and then this, so maybe I didn't get that.
The very last one I watched, so. But yeah, this is a pretty simple, straightforward movie, but I quite liked it. Between
me too,
just its general, just kind of crime thriller plot and Tim Robbins' performance, but also just all the little meta nuggets and shout outs to classic Hollywood movies and stuff. Yeah, really good.
I really enjoyed this. Is probably my second favorite one, but I had a blast. I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah.
And then at the ending hit, and I'm like, maybe I'm evil. This movie kind of makes me feel evil.
Yeah. It happens.
I'd give this one a 9.
I'd probably give it like an 8. But yeah.
It's fair. Okay, before we talk about what we're watching next week, I got an email from Pierre.
Oh.
With some questions.
Okay.
He was very sad that we didn't answer questions last time. He said, you could have called me. And I'm like, I didn't want to. There's only 2 real quick.
Okay.
How many chocolate bars could you eat in the span of 10 minutes? Are we talking about like full size like Hershey's? Or like, I think it depends. Can I blend them up? If I can blend them up, I could, I could body like 100.
Yeah, that's a different story. I'm going to say no. You can't.
Okay, if I ate them, my teeth would start to hurt. 10 minutes is a long time. I don't know. I'm assuming it's like a full-size candy bar. I'm like, how?
Probably that big.
40?
I'm going to say I personally would probably maybe 20 to a minute.
I feel like I'd throw up, but I think I could do 40. Like if it was a contest.
I think I'd
50 maybe? No, I'd aim for 50.
I think I'd eat 20 of them and then I would fucking curl up on the floor in the fetal position and cry.
And 2, if you were a gladiator, what would be your arena stage name?
If I was a gladiator.
The Griffin.
True. I mean, that would be the easy example. Also, we didn't talk about the fact that Tim Robbins' character was named a Griffin. Griffin Mills.
Griffin Mills, you're right. Yeah. That could have been you if you weren't. Oh, you were like him if you were scrunched down like in Popeye.
True. What was the fucking question again?
If you were a gladiator, what would you be your stage name?
Gladiator.
Maximus Iridius Decimus, or whatever his name is in Gladiator. Denzel Washington.
It's not a bad one.
The Pyre.
Call me the Madinator.
Call me Gradius.
I don't know.
I'd be called Gradius.
I'd go out as the Baconator.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks for the questions. If you too have questions, leave a comment or shoot an email, I guess.
Leave them somewhere. We'll see them.
Yeah, we'll see them. I pay attention sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, so next time, I was going to say week. We're not doing that. We're going to watch 6. I added 1.
Okay.
6 movies by Mira Nair. I hope I'm saying that right. She's an Indian film director. We're going to be watching Salam Bombay, Mississippi Masala, Monsoon Wedding, Hysterical Blindness, which is the one I added.
Okay.
The Namesake, and Queen of Katwe. Hopefully I'm saying that right, too. Which that one has Lupita Nyong'o in it.
Yes. Yes, it does.
So, that's exciting. There's a lot of... Irfan Khan is in, I think, The Namesake, and I like him a lot, too.
Yeah.
Apparently Cal Penn is also in The Namesake.
Oh, cool. Did we mention that Denzel's in
Oh, yeah, Denzel's in Mississippi Masala.
Yeah. So. Should be interesting.
Yeah, there's been a few of these that have been on my watch list for a while, so I'm excited to finally get them going. And, it's probably been a bit since we watched anything by a woman, which is probably not great, so...
Well, to be fair, it's been a bit since we watched anything, really, yeah. But yes.
The last thing we did was the Barbara Loden mini deep dive.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah. So.
We love women!
Honestly, I'd pick more women directors, but a large part of it is you kind of have to dig for them. They're not if you do a Google search for the best directors, it's 2 fucking female names show up, and one of which is Greta Gerwig, which is everyone knows about fucking Greta Gerwig. I mean, I'm not diminishing her or anything.
3 movies.
Yeah.
And I think they're all consistent. I think they're all good. Yeah. I think she's a great writer and director, but, we want to delve a little bit further.
Yeah. So hopefully as time continues and more women directors out there get more movies under their belts and stuff, and
they just get into the light, because there's hundreds of women directors we can talk about. We just don't know them yet.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's how I found out about this. Because I was picking all my potential directors. I'm this is a sausage party. I need a couple.
Yeah.
So I looked up a list, and she was one of the names that looked kind of interesting to me, so I picked it.
Sweet. Yeah. Cool. I'm excited to see her stuff.
Yeah, me too.
As always, thank you all for watching Screen Weens. Couldn't do it without ya. Tell your grandma.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time for another exciting episode of Screenathy Weenathy.
Stay safe out there, y'all.